What's up, everyone? Dan here, Crypto Capital Venture, November 21st, 2018. I'm calling it the pre-Thanksgiving live stream. Thanksgiving is tomorrow. I'm getting ready to go to church myself and wanted to do a nice little live stream. Basically talking about Bitcoin, what's new, talking about something a little new. Bitcoin, the cycle, the very simple cycle. You probably saw it in the title. You probably saw it in the thumbnail. That cycle of, and this is based on historical data that we have on Bitcoin, right? There's not much, going back 10 years, but it's what we have. And it's been consistent thus far. So I think it's something worth looking into. And so that's what we're going to talk about. The cycle is capitulation. I mean, in no specific order, really, right? Halving and all-time highs. Capitulation, halving, all-time high. And we're really going to use that last bear market leading into the halving, leading into this most previous all-time high to really paint that picture in this live stream. And I'm going to give it a few minutes. So if you are a replay viewer, please see the timestamp below, and you can go right kind of to when we begin the video. But going to have some fun with it. Really just going to kind of shoot from the hip and just kind of give my thoughts in terms of this market cycle, in terms of where we are. Because if there is such a thing as this very nice looking cycle full of harmony, if there is such a thing as this, then we're on track and we're actually on pace and things are looking very nice. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. We're going to talk about halving. We're going to talk about the market cycle chart in terms of capitulation, fear, anger, and then we're going to talk about all-time highs, baby. All-time highs. What's up, everybody? I see you tech lords in the chat. What's up? Cody Miller, Dan Best is here. Dan Best, Walter, Jordan Miller, Steven. What's up, everybody? I appreciate everybody coming by. I know it's a weird time, Wednesday, Thanksgiving Eve. And I really just wanted to talk about Bitcoin a little bit. It's what I do. It's what this YouTube channel is for, right? So I can't just let it go, even though things have been looking ugly. Things have been looking ugly in terms of price. I know many of you are depressed and sad, but it's all good. It is all good. What's crazy is I love right now actually going on YouTube, and I love watching the YouTubers that are still covering Bitcoin, covering the markets, and giving their opinion. Everybody has different opinions. That's the thing. So I hope you're not coming to this channel or to this live stream looking for the, one solid answer, one solid prediction that's going to tell you what to do in terms of your portfolio. I hope that you're coming here with an open mind to really track the markets with me, right? Think out loud. I've met some really cool people in this space who are thinking out loud. Steven Singleton, don't be depressed. He says he's depressed. Don't be depressed. Matthew Van Dalen, Dan, best YouTuber out there. Thank you, man. Wow. I feel like I can't accept that. That's a high pedestal. So let's get it. Let's just jump into it. We're around 3 minutes, 30 seconds in. I'm saying that out loud so I can put a timestamp in the comment below after I upload this. Let's start. So 3 things. We have capitulation, onto the halving, onto all-time highs. And just to give you a very simple picture of what that looks like, right? We don't even have to go back to the 2012 halving, which is back here on the charts. But we can start with the capitulation from the last bear market, right? We can use that as a reference point, a starting point, which is this channel back here. That's the capitulation area that I'm talking about. So that happened. It was part of Bitcoin's cycle from previous all-time highs up here. And then we exited that approaching the 2016 halving. And you can see it here on the screen, right? So the 2012 halving was back here with all-time highs a year later from the 2012 halving in 2013. Then we had capitulation. And then we had after the all-time highs. So we have number 1. Let me try and draw here. Number 1 is halving, right? So I'll just put a little H there. Number 2, a year later after halving, is all-time high. This would be so much easier if I had an actual mouse. Wow. Okay. And then, so that's number 2. There's my 2. And then number 3 is capitulation. I'm just going to put a C. You get the gist. So that's the cycle I'm talking about. 1, halving, 2, all-time high, 3, capitulation. So we have that capitulation at the end of the bear market, 2015, and then we have our next phase, phase 2, right, which is the halving in 2016. We had it, boom. After the halving, again, a year later, 2017, the next year after the halving, Bitcoin saw its all-time high, right? So that would be, so here's that number 1, number 2, all-time high halving, and number 3, that's kind of where we are at this turn of the Bitcoin cycle. We're in that third part of the Bitcoin cycle. Now, unfortunately, for many people that might even be on this video, watching this live stream, unfortunately, the third part of this cycle for the way this market moves is not the most enjoyable. However, although it's not the most enjoyable, it is a very bittersweet thing, because this is the opportunity to prepare for phase 2 and 3 of the market cycle if it continues, right? So, and just to paint that picture, in the last cycle, right, from the halving in 2012 to all-time high in 2013 to capitulation in 2014 to 2015, if you were here in that third phase, this is the preparation area where you prepare for the next cycle. Theoretically speaking, if these cycles continue, this is where you prepare for the next cycle. So for us, in terms of where we are, even if you came in at the top of the second phase of Bitcoin cycle, which is phase 2, all-time high, after a year after the halving in 2016, if you came in, because I know a lot of people in the market came into this market at all-time highs in around November, December time, right? They just came into the hype and they bought, and it can be so discouraging, and I think that's why you see a lot of negativity in the space. So you really have to take it with a grain of salt when you see negativity, because if people, especially that aren't used to markets and how they work, bought up here, they're just not going to be happy. Whether they finally just bailed out here or they're still holding now, there's a lot of people out there that are not happy, and we can't hate on them. We just have to let them be unhappy. But hopefully they've grown in wisdom. Hopefully they've grown some thick skin in terms of market, because right now, as we are entering this third phase of Bitcoin's cycle, which is the capitulation phase, right? This is the opportunity to really prepare for the fun. So if you did get in here at phase 2, which is all-time highs, and you bought and you FOMO'd, first off, don't hate on yourself, learn from it. I did the same thing in real estate in 2006, leading into 2007 and 2008. And I bought all-time highs before the market crashed, and I learned my lesson. So just learn your lesson, become wiser, become better for it, and that's my advice, right? This is not financial advice. That's just my life advice. Learn when you make mistakes. That's at the end of the day. So speaking of third cycle, this is really what I want to talk about. We're in the third part of Bitcoin cycle. I wish I would have wrote this. I'm going to actually do it on the screen real quick, just so I have it here. So cycle for Bitcoin, and then we have number 1, we have halving. 2, we can put 1 year later, all-time high, and then 3, we can put capitulation. Okay, so just so that we have it there for reference, I think it will be helpful to have on the screen. So here we are in capitulation phase, and I don't know how you want to define capitulation. It doesn't really matter. Obviously, the last bear market gives us a very nice, clear picture of what capitulation looks like, and you can look at it on the weekly chart. Yes, we're on the weekly chart, and you can just see the beginning of the third cycle and the end of it. These 2 weekly red candles, the wick down. Like these are big price range swings, right? So this weekly candle right there, that's a 37%. On the downside candle. So that's a nice looking capitulation illustration. And so now here we are at a very similar time, and we've been talking about this for probably months now. And I think the amount of times leading up to where we are now that we've talked about the similarities with the last bear market to this bear market, we've talked about it so much. I've gotten so many comments of people saying you can't compare the two, but I insisted, and many of you insisted, that you can, right? You can compare the two. And I think we're being proven right, because things are just falling into line in terms of this setup for Bitcoin. They really are. We all knew after hitting all-time highs and coming down, even by March, right? Even by spring, we knew the potential that we could revisit this bottom trend line in Bitcoin, the potential that we could really follow a similar track that we had in that last bear market. And here we are. And I truly believe that we're in that last phase of Bitcoin's downturn. And when I say last phase, this could still be months before anything actually turns around and happens. And you see a lot of people using Elliott wave and saying that we're in, wave 3 of the Elliott wave, and we might get a little bounce back up, but then we're going to hit wave 5 and one more big dip. And it can be very similar looking to what happened here, right? We came all the way down, we hit bottom, nice bounce, and then back down for the last dip. It could be similar to that. I don't use Elliott wave just because I see so many there's so many different ways to use it, and any Elliott wave video I see the person is doing it differently, and so I just don't like using it. I'm sure I could find my own Elliott wave and we can use it, but I just don't find too much value in it. But at the end of the day, I think many people agree that we're entering finally this range, this bottom range area, which is the third phase of Bitcoin's cycle that it's proven to follow. So what can we look at in terms of the halving in 2020? So speaking to the cycle of Bitcoin, right? We have that halving that happens, and then the year later, so this is what has happened historically for Bitcoin. The year later, Bitcoin sees all-time highs. So if that were to continue, and I'm not sitting here saying that it's going to continue, but it's definitely something to consider. I think it's definitely something to consider, especially if you're accumulating down here to prepare for a potential similarity in terms of the halving that we had in 2016 leading up to all-time highs, right? For a year later, the second phase. So this is what it would look like. We would restart leading up to the halving. Number one, we'd have number one, which is the halving, right? So number one is the halving right here in 2020. And we have all this time to get out of this bear market, right? So this is May of 2020 is when the next halving is. So, and we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this, which is how to be prepared and how to handle the current bear market and the current bottom range that we're in. We might be here for a little bit of time. So patience is definitely important right now. But assuming no matter what it looks like in this time, we'll take it day by day. There's nothing more that we can do leading up to this halving. What we can anticipate on the upside is the historical cycle to continue, which is to say a year later in 2021, we will see the second part of Bitcoin's cycle, which is all-time highs. So I don't know if that's going to be the top of this, this rising wedge, this long-term channel, right? I don't know if it's going to be the top. I don't know if it's going to be down here at 100,000, but we're looking at all-time highs in 2021 based off of the historical data that Bitcoin's giving us. Somebody just said this bear market is boring. I completely agree. And I'm trying to spice it up, okay? I'm trying to spice it up for you by talking about all-time highs for Bitcoin. What more can we do than get excited about the future of Bitcoin and the future of our investments? I don't know, but this is one of those things. So, and this is very like, this plays into Bitcoin and how it's moved perfectly. So phase one restarts after this capitulation phase, after we're out of this bear market. We get back to the phase one, part one of the cycle, which is the halving, 2020. Nothing crazy really happening. Nothing crazy has really happened for Bitcoin price in terms of the halving. So don't expect any all-time highs, you know, in 2020. We might get it. I don't know. This is based theoretically off of Bitcoin's past performance. But we get the halving in 2020. We're out of the bear market, right? And then leading up to 2021, a year later, this might be our area of fun that like everybody wants if Bitcoin continues this trajectory that it's been on. So it looks really nice. It really does. But the one thing is, we're talking, this is 2021. We're not even in 2019 yet. So this is a ton of patience. And there might not be a lot of people that came into this market expecting to have to be patient. And so patience is something that is developed, and I think you're going to see a lot of people mature in this space. You're going to see a lot of new investors mature. It's the life cycle of an investor is becoming mature and is growing in wisdom and in patience. And so I think you're going to see a lot of that as we exit this bear market eventually. We will exit, in my opinion, this bear market. So, and then from that all-time high, it is very, very attainable that we see a correction, right? So after we get all-time highs in the future, whenever that is, on this chart we have around 2021 based on historical data and the cycles of Bitcoin. After we get all-time highs, you got to look out for a correction. So I know we're getting way ahead of the game there, but right there on the screen is a beautiful picture of the market cycles of Bitcoin. And so now we can pivot over to, well, where are we now? Where are we now, Dan? Well, here we are. And I really wanted to talk about this, which is basically this cheat sheet, psychology of a market cycle that we have on the screen. Everybody's been guessing. We talk about it on this channel a lot. Where are we? Anger is definitely beginning to show. You know, if you're on social media a lot, if you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, you're seeing anger like we haven't seen. You know, we're seeing anger even more so than we saw basically if we get our messy chart up, even in here, right? Even in the $8,000 to $6,000 range, there were people annoyed and negative, but the anger, if you go on Twitter right now, the sentiment is extremely strong. The anger is strong. And so I think we've just entered this territory on this market cycle chart of anger. So in this territory where we have anger, we're going to see a lot of volatility. And you can see on this screen, and I'll open up a little bit, this range, this bottom range that we've been talking about for months now, that I have on the screen, around 5,500 to like 3,500, we're talking like 40% range. And Bitcoin can be trading within here on the upper end of it and lower end of it for a while. We can call it a sideways trading channel, but we can be trading in here for a while now. And this is where you're going to see a lot of people become mature. And even the people that are angry at first, you may even see them become mature and start really zooming out on the charts and start really understanding, okay, maybe they bought too high, but now they're learning, now they're understanding market cycles. And instead of being emotional and instead of being angry, maybe it's time to think about thinking more wisely, more strategically, which is to say, if you're any investor, this doesn't even have to be, I don't even have to say this is not financial advice, but if you're any investor, this channel down here where people are angry, and we can even say fearful, right? Because this is the exact channel that we've just entered, where you're going to start seeing a lot of news articles. You're going to start seeing a lot of investors say, you know, Bitcoin is done. You know, that was it. You missed your chance. It's not going anywhere. Same thing happened back here. You're going to start seeing that. And with that, you're going to have people being angry about that. You're going to have people being fearful about that. And you're going to have very volatile capitulation. So we're in that territory right now. And so when it comes to the cycle of Bitcoin, you can see it makes sense. And if you kind of wrap it all together, you can see that it plays perfectly into the cycle of Bitcoin, which is having 1 year later all-time high and then into capitulation. Well, we're in the capitulation phase. We're here, and it's probably going to get messy, even more messy before it gets better. However, this is the opportunity to start thinking strategically, to start really evaluating your risk tolerance and how you want to play this thing. I always say, if you are long on Bitcoin, if you like it, if you like the technology, if you believe in it, then now is the time. Now is the opportunity of a lifetime to think as a venture capitalist. As a recruiter in the blockchain space, I'm working with startups every day that I have conversations with founders. They don't care about price. I was just in San Francisco in September, sitting down with the founders of a Bitcoin exchange. I asked them, like, how are you feeling with the price? And they don't even care. I mean, they really hardly even look at it. The builders do not care. And that is a perfect foundation to the growth of this space, especially in this anger phase, this doubt phase, this fear phase. So if the builders are not caring about the price, and the VCs that are investing in these startups aren't really caring about the price. If anything, they're thankful for the low price. Why should we, as retail investors, care about the price? And if you're saying, well, we should care because it's just a really bad sign, like anything that's good doesn't go down in price. I tweeted earlier about Amazon. Amazon right now, since September, is down 30%, right? And it's looking like it could get worse. So it has nothing to do with Bitcoin is not something that can achieve success and it's going to fail. You know, Amazon is going to be fine, right? But it's a correction. It's a market cycle. So it's good to understand these things, and it's really good to have some patience with these things and not get emotional. So we're in anger, we're in the anger phase, and where does that leave us, right? So it leaves us in this area of just capitulation and accumulation, and that's it. It's similar to 2015, and I'm gonna start talking about that a little bit right now. 2015, when we entered this final channel. And I'm really going to use a couple momentum oscillators for talking about this. So first off, you can see that dip right there into this channel is kind of like a 43% channel we have in that bear market. And you just saw me do this on this channel. I think it was around 40%, correct? So again, it's so, yeah, look at that. It's like 41%. It's so synergistic with the last bear markets. And somebody just said I'm bullish, and I am. I'm so bullish. I'm so bullish on this space. I think I have the advantage that I get to work with startups in this space, in the blockchain space, building new protocols, building new cryptocurrency protocols, just doing work. And the more I learn about this technology and the more that it's set in stone for me that it is the future, in terms of so many things, not just payments, but data and privacy and all these things. I'm so confident. I'm so confident. So 2015, very similar dip started. That is, it's really just happening right now, and you can see it. So I put now on the chart because here is now, right? Entering into that final stage of the third cycle, and here is 2015, entering the final stage into its cycle, the third part of the cycle. So let's look at it. What I want to look at, and we're going to start here, we'll start at 2015. What I want to look at is, I'm going to get off of this chart and I'm going to open up the MACD. You can see this momentum on the MACD weakening on the downside, and this was like that final push right here into the first part of the capitulation in Bitcoin. So I want to just open up the MACD on this chart, and you can see the similarities, right? You can see the weakening in the bear market. This is the bear market chart on the MACD in momentum, and then you can see the same thing, this consolidation and this weakening on the momentum on the MACD, and you can see this is so similar to this final push down into that last very volatile, right? It's not a miniature zone, it's a very volatile area, but that last push down on the MACD, and you can see it, we're there now. So what's going to be interesting to watch as we kind of go through this bottom range in the bear market is to find similarities in terms of the MACD and the momentum oscillators for Bitcoin. So in terms of the bear market, we have that final that first capitulation, and then we had, what did we have happen after that? From that area to March, we had a price range swing of, look at that, like 83%. So I'm talking about this because I just want to throw this out there, that it's very possible that when we get this first capitulation, that might go lower than where we are now, right? This could take us to $3,500, but I think we're eventually going to get, even if we come lower in the MACD, a bounce and a swing similar to what we had in the bear market. So I'll open it up, and right here, there it is. There's that 83% swing, and it shows on the MACD. So we might get something very similar in terms of Bitcoin leading up into the next few months, right? So it's very important to anticipate that, because just like many people FOMO'd in, right? Just like many people FOMO'd into this and got stuck, the same thing happened here, which is bear market capitulation, but these swings, this swing high right here, and I should zoom in a little bit because I know it's really small. This is the biggest thing you can prepare for as we enter, and as we have entered this channel, is this type of movement. So you have to be very convicted with your position in Bitcoin, because if you can't withstand these swings, you might get yourself in trouble. So bear market, things are just not very good, and then people are waiting. I think it's going lower, right? They're expecting it this way, but all of a sudden, Bitcoin gets its bounce. It's up 32%. People start buying, and then look what happens from where people buy in FOMO from this all-time high, and they have a capitulation phase, and it's like down 40+%. That type of thing is most likely going to happen within this third cycle of Bitcoin. So it is probably the most important mental thing to take note of and be ready for as we trade within this range. So if you're going to accumulate, and we're gonna keep doing technical analysis on this video so that we can anticipate major dips, because this is why I started this channel, was to really be able to accumulate dips and not the peaks, right? Because even if I buy here, right? Even if I buy here, if we get a dip or if we get a pullback to $5,300, I could say long term that's a great buy, right? I could accumulate all day long right now if I'm long on Bitcoin and say it's a great buy. However, I'd way rather accumulate at 3,500, right? Even at 4,500, 3,500, I'd way rather accumulate the lower parts of this third phase simply for mental reasons. I could sit here all day and say, I don't care, I'll buy all day long in this whole range. But why not do a little technical analysis, anticipate bigger dips, and feel way more comfortable with my accumulation areas, right? And so that's why most of the time I was accumulating in here was literally at the bottom end of this triangle, because we were anticipating. You can go back and watch these videos that we just did this whole entire bear market. We anticipated dips so well, and I'm so happy that we accumulated way more on the downside, right, closer to the $6,000 area than we did on the upside, closer to the $8,000 to $10,000 area. That's why we do technical analysis. So same thing goes for this capitulation channel that we're potentially in, this bottom channel that we're in, that may last months. We want to be prepared. We want to buy the dip more powerfully. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there. And I want to just kind of show you the picture in terms of MACD. Now, that bounce that we talked about, that short-term bounce that we might get, right? We might get a really powerful bounce eventually, bringing us up to potentially $6,500 or so, but a bounce seeing resistance and coming right back down to where we are, if not lower. So be prepared for that. Be prepared not to FOMO. Find your risk tolerance, find yourself mentally, and be ready for it. However, at the end of the day, I think Bitcoin is completely normal in doing its thing, which is this cycle. And I'm trying to, this cycle right here, halving, 1 year later, all-time high, number 3 capitulation. We just happen to be in the bottom area capitulation phase right now. So Benjamin 7 says that, first off, Benjamin, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. I really appreciate that. It says, we're all in this together. Get in the train once it slows down, because it will be too late after that. Look at that. Talk about a good illustration. So Bob says, don't know if Crypto Capital Venture, don't compare 2014 to today. Most top TA guys think like that too. Not really sure what Bob's saying, but I kind of went over this already. Based on the historical data that we have, based on the consistency of that data through this entire bear market, because I've been kind of comparing this bear market to last bear market since, February, March probably, and it continues to prove itself consistent and right. So anybody that's saying that's stupid or foolish to compare and take that historical data because it's useless, I think that's not wise. The only thing we have in terms of technical analysis is historical data. So right now, the cycle for Bitcoin is true. The cycle for Bitcoin is very, very harmonious if you look at the chart zoomed out. So I'm going to continue to use this cycle, and it's done us well. It's done a really good job. It's served us well. So that's pretty much my thoughts in terms of Bitcoin. I hope everybody is just having a great night. I'm going to get ready here and go eat some dinner, go to church, and enjoy the rest of my night. I appreciate everybody. If you're here right now and you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. I think we're almost at 15,000 subscribers. I'm pretty hype about that. I'm not going to lie. So subscribe, hit that like button if you're here right now. It means a lot to me. I'll be thankful. I'm thankful either way. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Poseidon Lou with a super chat. You couldn't help yourself. Poseidon Lou says, thanks Pooping for subscribing. Poseidon Lou says, to all those who said they missed the boat last year's bull run, here's a perfect reset for everyone to have another chance. Right? Poseidon Lou on the hitting it on the head there. Like, there were so many people when it was at 18,000 being like, I would do anything to get sub 5,000. Well, here we are. Here we are. And this is a good opportunity. So I hope everybody's hanging in there. I hope this video provided some value to you. If nothing more, a little bit of entertainment, and appreciate each and every one of you. Again, hit that like button on the way out. I hope everybody has an amazing Thanksgiving tomorrow. There's so much to be thankful for outside of blockchain, outside of cryptocurrency. So just remember that. Have an awesome, awesome time. Have an awesome rest of the day. I will see you all in the next video, and God bless.